Well, as the summer heats up, emergency room doctors are seeing a surge in kids showing up. So we want to spend some time here on the program talking to you about the reasons why children end up in the ER over the summertime and what is preventable and what is just part of being a kid. Let's head over to Liane Fransblow, trauma coordinator and injury prevention program at the Montreal Children's Hospital Trauma Center. Liane, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
You know, it was a little while ago we did a segment about e-scooters, right? Because we've seen an increase of accidents involving children and e-scooters.
Yeah.
It did get me thinking about just all the activities that kids do over the summer, and I was reading a report about, just the various things that kids are going to the ER over. And I want to sort of, differentiate between the stuff that is part of growing up and the stuff we really need to avoid. So thanks for coming on today.
You're welcome.
So what are you seeing right now at the ER at the Montreal Children's Hospital?
So always the majority of injuries we see are things like sprains, broken bones, from sports-related things, normal stuff that we expect to see every year. And while we don't want them to happen, it's not something we're as concerned about. We're always concerned about anything that will have lifelong impact, brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, any kind of asphyxiation, anything that would stop you from breathing. So those are the things that we're always much more concerned about than the typical, sprained ankle.
Let's talk off the top here about pools, playing in or near water, whether it's a lake or any other or anything else. That's an interesting one, right? Because we hear stories about drownings all the time. But let's talk about that and the injuries that we see involving access to water.
So the injuries the major injuries we always see are the ones we're the most concerned about are the drownings. And what we're usually concerned about and what usually happens is it's young kids under the age of 5 or non-swimmers who are older that we tend to see. Sometimes, anybody can drown, adults drown too, anybody drowns. But what we see for us, it's mostly young kids. Most of the drownings we see are in pools, mostly backyard pools, equal between above ground and in ground. Often it's either there's a lot of people at the pool and everybody thinks someone else is watching, so nobody really sees what's happening, or they're not supposed to be in the pool. So everybody's inside or somewhere else, and nobody's expecting someone to go into the pool, and somehow the child gets out of the house or out of the area that they are and into the pool without anyone realizing it. So those are the two cases we often see. So often our main tips for water safety are really, first of all, constant vigilant supervision near water. So all eyes on the water, have someone who is designated to be the water watcher. It is tiring. It is hard as an adult. You want to socialize too. So take turns. It shouldn't be just one person for, an hour. Every 20 or so minutes, switch up who's doing it. Swim with buddies, with your friends. Even adults never swim alone. You need to have, and this is the law in Quebec, you need to have a separation between your home and the pool. So it's not good enough just to have a fence around your backyard. You have to have a separate fence that separates the house to the pool. So there used to be a grandfather clause where pools built before 2010 did not need this. That clause has now been removed, and pool owners have until this September to fit the new law. So they've got to get going on that.
Yeah, and
that is something that we unfortunately do see. And then obviously we want kids of all ages to be in swimming lessons, and adults who own pools, or all adults, really should take CPR.
And that has been a topic this week on the program just separately, like pool owners who are concerned about trying to make sure they are abiding by the new bylaw, right, for the people that already had the pool, those that were used to be on the grandfather clause.
Yeah.
Can you say here, that these fences, these enclosures, they save lives?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we've seen cases of children who have drowned because the enclosure is not there.
Jeez.
And because they've gotten into pool. And we've had kids drown in April when the pool's not even open, when they're not even remotely expected to be anywhere near a pool. So it is very important not only to have them, but to keep them closed.
Just on the people that are supervising and smartphone use. And this is I see stories, this is from around North America, right? You see news stories from all over the place, and you hear about parents that were distracted because they're on their smartphone. They think they're just looking down for 30 seconds and horror happens. Whoever is monitoring this stuff, should they not have a cell phone and a smartphone anywhere near them?
No, I mean, if it's next to you, it's okay to have it there, but you shouldn't be looking at it at all because drowning is silent. It's not like the movies where there's lots of splashing. If they're splashing, they could be in distress and they may need help, but that's not drowning. That's before they drown. They drown, they go down. If they pop back up, they only have enough time to take a deep breath and go back down. They don't have enough time to scream out, to do anything. So it's silent. They go down. You don't hear anything. You don't see anything. So it's really important to be really watching, not on a phone, not talking, not impaired. I mean, if you're impaired, you're not able to really pay attention properly.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the message clear here. Take safety, put it at paramount when we're talking about water. I want to go down a list here of some other things that I've seen. And there was one that caught my attention. And it's sort of like, oh, are we the fun police or not here? Trampolines. So tell me about trampolines. I'm telling you, every single kid seems to love, with good reason, just jumping in the air at great heights. Do you see a lot of issues with trampolines? How would you view them?
So trampoline injuries, obviously, trampolines in most medical professional opinions is a gymnastics equipment, and it's supposed to be used as such. And in gymnastics, you're using it in a very supervised, controlled environment. When you have a backyard trampoline, so first of all, there's two issues. When you actually read the maintenance of the backyard trampoline, it's not supposed to be held outside during the winter. And I've never seen anyone take their trampoline inside. So the integrity of the material the next winter, I really don't know if it's able to withstand. How many winters can it withstand? The other issue is that we do see injuries from kids on trampolines. Often, the majority of injuries are because there's too many kids jumping at the same time. It's usually the smallest or youngest who gets hurt. Any kind of flips and things like that, if you don't know what you're doing, it's very dangerous. We have seen, cervical spine injuries, neck injuries, head injuries from kids flipping on trampolines. And then it's also when they're jumping several of them at a time, it's a big kid, jumping on top of a small kid can really seriously injure them.
We're with Liane Fransblow from the Montreal Children's Hospital Trauma Center. And we're talking about some of the summer fun that children do that could lead them to the ER. Is there anything, Liane, that to you is surprising that for our listeners would be like, wow, I've never thought of that? I saw one doctor mentioning the bouncy castle of all things. And, my gut reaction was, oh, that's a bit of fun, police. But I don't know, maybe you got a thought on that and some of the things that may be surprising.
So I think the bouncy castle for this, it's the same idea of the trampoline. There are, limitations on them. So usually it says, this should be for X amount of kids. So you need to follow those rules. And again, if you have you should try to limit the size of the kids so you're not having, 2-year-olds jumping with 11-year-olds. That doesn't really, someone's going to get hurt in those situations. So it's really kind of common sense. They're not necessarily the fun police, but just making sure that they're being used the way they're meant to be used and as safe as possible. The thing that we're actually seeing that's not necessarily summer related but has picked up in the last year or two is water beads. So they're toys, or some people can buy them to sort of have decorative things within their plants, and they're little beads that expand with water, and they look like candies. And we've had cases where little kids go and swallow them, but because they expand with water, they'll expand in your intestines and they'll block your intestines and they'll need surgery.
Oh my God.
So we've had a number of cases this year, and it's something that's picked up. It's a bit of a new issue that we hadn't seen as many in the past.
So based on what you've seen, those water beads should be nowhere near your home?
Not if you have young kids.
Kids.
I mean, I'd be even careful in the pipes and stuff. If they end up, if you're trying to wash something out, they end up in your pipes. That would be a problem there too. We're more worried about the children who think that they're candies or think they're cute, and they try to swallow them, and they look tiny when you get it, but they expand with water.
Oh boy, okay. Geez, that is surprising here. As the summer's progressed on the e-scooter front, how have things gone there? Are you still seeing
we're still seeing. We've had some bad cases. It's not getting any better, and there's been studies out from CIHI, the Canadian Institute of Health Information, also mimicking the same data as us, saying that there's been an increase across Canada. It is a big concern across Canada, and the safety rules across the board are not being followed properly.
And that's
just a Quebec issue.
And that's when you add the E to them, right? We're talking electric scooters, not just
yes,
regular
electric scooters.
Gotcha.
The regular scooters, I mean, we may see some injuries from those. Usually they're being used in skate parks or things like that. But they're not usually as serious. They don't go as fast.
Okay.
You can't push them to the same speed as the electric scooters. We don't, in our data, we don't necessarily see how fast the person was going, but we are definitely seeing about 50% of our patients under the minimum required age of 14, and at least 50% of our patients are not wearing helmets. And that's just in pediatrics. And adults, I believe the helmet use is even less.
Liane, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on. The message, have fun, but be safe. Don't be stupid out there. And I want to thank you again for sharing with our listeners.
Thanks.
Liane Fransblow is trauma coordinator for the Injury Prevention Program at the Montreal Children's Hospital Trauma Center.